everybody, welcome back to my modern homestead. If you don't already know, my name is Janet and today I'm so excited we are back in the kitchen. And why are we back in the kitchen besides the fact that this is my first love? We are so close to March, y'all. One of my favorite months to be in the kitchen other than Christmas or maybe Easter, but anyway. If you were here last year, you remember that we did Ode to Ireland, and you can look here and see that playlist. Well, I wanted to kind of do that again this year, but I didn't let March sneak up on me. We are here in the new house, and we are more settled this year, so I had my brain together a little bit more. So we are going to do our Irish recipes sooner this year, so we're not packing them all into 1 week. And today, and on the recipes, we're not going to do the same recipes we did last year. I am going to hopefully do the apple cake, but we're going to do a different recipe. But anyway, today we're going to do an Irish stew. The recipe I'm using is written for an Instapot recipe originally, but we're going to convert it to go on the stove. So y'all, look at these ingredients. One of these ingredients I've never used before. Even with older parents and grandparents and them cooking them, I have never done them. So it's going to be a new experience. Let's check out what we've got. Here we go, y'all. Now this recipe called for 1 pound of lamb, or 1.5 pounds. And the store didn't have any on the shelf when I went. But I asked the guy in the market if they had any, and he said the guy in the back was actually cutting some up. So he said, "What do you want? Do you want stew meat?" And I said, "Well, yes, that's exactly what I need." But y'all, when he brought this out, I didn't realize it till I'd already walked away. This is more bones than anything. I can't eat a bone. So I'm too humble. No, I won't say too humble. That wasn't very humble. Now, was it? I'm too, whatever you want to call it. I didn't go back and say anything. I just picked up some beef, stew beef. But here is the ingredient I've never used before. These are the turnip roots. You can see the little baby turnips growing out of the top, but this is the part that stays underground for those of you who have never seen an actual turnip. There we go. And we're going to use some carrots, some parsnips. Many people are not familiar with parsnips. They look very similar to a carrot, but the taste is kind of, it's a lot more spicy. And to me, the texture's a little different. But anyway, got those. We've got some leeks. My husband and son did not have a clue what a leek was, so here we go. That's what a leek looks like. And we're going to use some cabbage. And y'all, we're adults here. Okay? I don't drink. I don't have a problem putting alcohol in my food to cook with because the alcohol is going to cook it. I have no issues with that whatsoever, but if you do, substitute it for more beef broth. And I'm going to have to make the beef broth. I don't have any on hand. We're just going to use the Better Than Bouillon or Better Than Beef Bouillon, whatever. I'll show you in just a second. And a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Here we go. This is what I'm using to make our beef broth. Just add just like it says on the top. And yes, that's out of date, but y'all, this has never been opened. There's nothing wrong with that, I can promise you. So these are the traditional ingredients, but I have these. Oh, y'all don't shoot me, especially if you're Irish, for messing up your stew. I have these in my refrigerator, and I really don't want them to go to waste, and I have nothing else in the world that I'm going to use them for. So if I don't use them in this, they're not going to get used. Can you forgive me? If you want this to be traditional, just pretend they're not there. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, the first thing I need to do is get these all prepped. I need to peel and chop these. I need to chop these and rinse them. And I'm not going to use this whole cabbage. This is a small head, but I'm probably going to use just the half of it. All right. We'll be back in just a second. Now I cook with leeks a lot, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the prep, but when I cut them and slice them in half, I run them under water really well, fanning them out to get all the sand and dirt out before I slice them. But even still, once I slice them, I let them sit in some still water for a few minutes and let all the sediment sink to the bottom. Okay, now the vegetables are all done. Okay, in my bag I have 4½ rounded tablespoons of flour, and I'm going to, oh, have mercy. Yeah, well, I put in, who knows how much salt. Let me get this right here that's on top. Yowzers, you don't want that much salt. Set it over here to the side. Oh my, let's try this gently again. It wouldn't come out and I turned it up too high. Just a little bit of more salt. Let's add some pepper. And it's okay if this isn't fully salted because we're going to adjust the seasonings at the end. This part, we're just going to coat the meat to brown it in the pan. That's all this is for. If it's not quite salty enough, that's all right. Now back behind me, I have my cast iron Dutch oven heating on the stove. We want it hot before we start. So let's get the meat down here and toss it around. Close up the bag. And then we'll just toss it around like so to coat it. Alright, then we're just going to shake them off a bit and lay them out on a plate because we can't add them all to the pan at one time. It would overcrowd it and you wouldn't brown your meat. It would just turn it gray at that point. Now we're going to do the same thing for the beef, and this is just stew meat beef that's been chopped up. Make sure that's what it's called. Yep, beef for stew. Same way. We'll add it to the plate. Okay, so we have our pot. The way I like to test to see if our oil's hot enough is just, it's a little too hot. Turn it down. Now guys, this part you're not cooking the meat. We are just getting a brown crust on it. So if it does it quick, that is perfectly fine. We're not going to worry about it. Just put it in there a few pieces at a time. Leave plenty of space between the pieces. Let it get brown on one side, turn it over, brown on the other side. If you're picky, brown it on as many sides as you need to with these funny shaped pieces. And when it's good enough for you, just take it off and sit it to the side. I have an empty plate back here. Some of the pieces are about ready to turn over, but this is the pot I'm actually going to do the stew in. I'm a little bit nervous, y'all, not gonna lie. I hope it all fits. I think once the cabbage cooks down, it'll be just fine. We might just struggle for the first few minutes to get everything in there. Let's see. You can get it as brown as you like. And y'all, if the color doesn't bother you, go ahead and skip this step. It's not totally necessary. One thing I didn't say is in between pieces, if you need to add more oil, go ahead. This is not the oil I actually have in here, but I absolutely love this little bottle. So I just refill it with olive oil when it empties. It's a nice little glass bottle, so why waste it? Okay, we've got our meat brown. So we're going to take the rest of the lamb out. Look how nice that looks. Okay. Then what we're going to do is open the Guinness and use it to deglaze this pot. Here we go. The pot is off. That's the thing about cast iron. It takes it forever to cool off once it's hot. Okay, Jake ran out and got me 2 bay leaves off the tree and rinsed them up for me. So we're going to set those to the side for just a minute. And I also pulled out my thyme and rosemary. Fresh is best, but if you don't have it, just use what you got. Let me clean this off the stove back here. Okay, now let's add in 1½ cup of water. Going to turn this back on, but not on high. I'm just going to put it on about a medium. And we're going to add about 1½ teaspoons of this Better Than Bouillon beef paste. You can use more if you like the stronger flavor, but always start with a little. Right. Get it mixed in. And once that's dissolved, I'll be right back. Alright, there we go. Now, let's add the meat back in. I'm going to put the lamb on the bottom because it has the bones in it. Go. Get all that flavor off of that plate. Now we're going to put the veggies on top, but before I do that, I do need to add 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Not going to be exact with this. One, 2, and 3. Good enough. Let's get the veggies. Okay, we got our leeks in there. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. They were still in the water. So as you scoop them out, be careful not to stir the water too much because all the yucky stuff is down in the bottom of that bowl. Okay, now we have a huge tray board of all of our veggies. Just going to mix them in the best we can. And you can put this in the oven at 325 degrees for about 3 hours. So you can do that, or you can leave it sitting here on the stove top to cook until everything is nice and tender. It's totally up to you. Let's add in our bay leaves. Just going to set those on top for now, just kind of tuck them in. And it said to use a bundle of fresh thyme and fresh rosemary. There was no set amount. So just sprinkle in whatever looks right to you. That was rosemary. And this is thyme. Of course, you're going to taste it at the end, but you want this to cook with this in here. Sorry, my guys are in here. It's a busy day. All right, let's just let it cook for a little while. Okay, I made the executive decision. I put a little bit of salt and pepper on here, and we are going to go ahead and put it in the oven, 325 degrees for about 3 hours. Okay, y'all, while we're waiting on the stew. There's about an hour left. I'm going to go ahead and make this paste. There are 2 tablespoons of flour, just a little bit of parsley, a little bit of thyme, about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and some softened butter. It is unsalted butter. And I'm just going to make a paste. Just smash the butter into the flour until it's all mixed together. And then when the stew comes out, we will add it to the stew, and it will help to thicken it up just a little bit. That way you won't have big lumps of flour in it. Thought that was a really neat little trick to share with you. Okay, it's time to get this out of the oven. I'm gonna bump up the temp. Okay, I'm anxious to see what this looks like, y'all. Y'all ready? Let me open it away from y'all too so it won't fog up the camera. Ooh, so hot. Let's see this. See how it cooked down? These are the bay leaves. Let's take those out. Let's stir it up. Oh, nice. Yes. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Oh, y'all, this is perfect. Now, it doesn't really need to be thickened up, but I got this butter and I can't use it for anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in here so it can be mixing in as we stir. Oh, y'all, I cannot believe how pretty this turned out. I'm so excited. Just stir gently to try to not make mashed potatoes in here. Ah, y'all. Hello, Ireland. Welcome to Georgia. In just a second, what I'm going to do is mix up some brown bread. Just let me get this stirred around really well. Oh, y'all. I want to taste it, but it is piping hot. I'm going to have to give it a minute. What I'm going to do is just mix it up, put the lid back on and leave it. We'll give it another little stir before we take it out and try it. Look at this lamb. It is just falling off of the bone. Oh, I don't think I can do it, y'all. Let's taste the potato. I can't wait anymore. Oh, hot, hot. Oh, so good. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, hot. Oh, y'all. Okay, y'all, let's take a look at what we got for the bread. We have got 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of whole wheat flour. We've got a tablespoon of brown sugar, 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 2 cups of buttermilk. Now the buttermilk and baking soda is going to make the magic in this bread. This is what you call a quick bread. It does not use any yeast, and it's so quick and easy. It's a traditional bread in Ireland, and this is not exactly a soda bread. This is brown bread because it has the whole wheat flour in it. Now, all we're going to do is just add the dry ingredients all together. This is such a great bread to have with soups or stews. Oh, I'm shaking this like it's gonna. Some people use, I didn't finish my sentence, did I? Shaking it like it's just gonna shake out like salt is what I was trying to say. But some people will use a really whole grain type flour that you have to order. I wasn't going to get that fancy, but some will also put molasses in this, wheat germ in this. Some people actually use the Guinness Stout beer in this. I just wanted a nice, quick, easy bread that You can find the ingredients at your local store very easily if you don't already have them in your house. All you do is just mix up the dry ingredients really well. And then you're going to make a well in the center of the dry ingredients and pour in the buttermilk and mix it in together. Y'all, it cannot get any easier than that. So before we do this, let me get my pan ready. Okay, now all I did was just take a pizza pan and cover it with parchment paper. So we're just going to pour this in here. Let's get it all mixed together and we'll come back and knead it. Not much, just a little. Okay, now remember, this is not a traditional bread dough, so it's going to be sticky. And just keep working that flour as much as you can. Get it all worked in there. It takes it a minute. And just give it a few good kneads to get everything all good and mixed together. If it's too wet and too sticky, you can add a little bit more flour, but try not to. You don't want a whole lot in there. Still flour on the bottom. Okay. Thank you, baby. Okay. Let me try to get some of this off and then we'll do the next part.
Somehow I missed recording the next part. I took a sharp knife and just cut across in the dough pretty deeply. That way it helps the dough cook, but in old Irish folklore, it also let the evil spirits out. Now you want to put the dough into the oven at 450 degrees for 15 minutes, then bump the temperature down to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for another 15 to 20 minutes.
It looks perfect. Let's get it. Ooh, there we go, y'all. Got pretty. Okay, it sounds hollow. That's the way it's supposed to sound. So let's get our cooling rack. Put it here. Well, it's not hot. Okay. Now, we're just going to leave this here and let it cool completely before we cut it. But make sure you've got some Irish butter on hand to put on this bread. You can see where we cut the cross in it. Such a pretty rustic bread. Alright, y'all. My Alyssa's got to go to work, so what do you say we plate this up? You grab a spoon. Now, granted, the stew looks quite rustic and not too appetizing after it has sat here for a little while, but y'all, it's gonna have to be good. And one more thing I didn't tell you. If you don't want your cabbage to cook as long, don't put it in till close to the end or even after you take it out of the oven. But I don't like crunchy cabbage. I like my cabbage soft. So that's the way I did it. Go there. There's that. Let's cut the bread. It says to cool completely, but I don't have enough time to let it cool absolutely completely. This will be just fine. Yum. Okay. Perfect, perfect. There we go. Irish stew and brown bread. Yum. Now please don't mind the way I look. I've been in and out of this wind. Oh my goodness. It is terrible. But I'm actually doing 2 videos at the moment. We're making sausages. Mm-mm. Wow. Y'all, just moved to Ireland. Can't move to Ireland, make this stew. Let's try our bread. Give me a minute. Y'all, I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't know what to say except wow. That's all I've got. It's so good. Y'all go make this. Yum. Thank you so much for joining me. You know I love it when you come and spend a few minutes with me. So until we meet again, may you be blessed. Love you guys.